Next section that we will be seeing is the three main sectors of our economy. So what exactly are the three main sectors? We have the primary sector, we have the secondary sector and the tertiary sector, which I will be explaining to you in the future slides. Then we have something called the market activities and the non-market activities. Further, we will be discussing about the division of labor between men and women. That is the kind of contribution men play in the employment scenario and the economy, and the kind of role the women play in our economy. Further, we are going to go up to the kind of importance education holds in today's world. So without wasting any time, let us get on to the section. First, as I've told, we are going to be discussing about the economic activities that are performed by men and women. So first, before we discuss any economic activities, let us see the kind of activities that are there in our country. So they are divided into three sectors. First being primary, then you have secondary, then you have tertiary. Primary sector, usually primary always means first, right? And you anything anywhere, something usually starts with agriculture or using the forests. So primary sector is also called as agricultural sector, and it further includes activities like agriculture, forestry, animal husbandry, fishing, poultry farming, mining and quarrying. Haven't you noticed that this sector involves some things of a natural resource, something that is naturally produced? Let us take an example of fishing. Fishing is where you are picking out the fishes from lakes or seas or rivers and finally taking it to the market and selling it. Fish is a natural resource that is there in a water body. Suppose let us take the example of poultry farming, right? Poultry farming is the rearing of chickens. Chickens ultimately lay eggs. Eggs are taken and they are given out in the market. And in the market they make a profit, and that's how it's involved in the whole economic process. So this is where you can see the eggs and the chickens and everything in the process of uh, poultry farming involves a natural resource. So that's what primary sector is. Then we have the secondary sector. So secondary sector includes the manufacturing activities. So whatever is produced in the primary sector finally gets on to the secondary sector to like I will give you a basic example here. Suppose you are doing something like forestry, that is under the primary sector. You have cut some rosewood forest or a teak kind of forest. You have cut the trees and you have taken those parts, so that comes under forestry, comes under primary sector, right? And you have taken those parts, sent it to the factories, and they have finally made cupboards or some kind of bedroom essentials, beds, cots, cupboards, chairs, etc., made of teak or rosewood. So that ultimately comes under the secondary sector. So what exactly comes under the tertiary sector? Let us see. So under the tertiary sector, you have trade, transport, communication, banking, education, health, tourism, services, insurance. So let me give you an example of the activity that's in the tertiary sector. A farmer, suppose I am a farmer and I grow potatoes on my field. I need that to be transported to the market, to the main market, because I absolutely have no kind of transport. Then I have a friend of mine who's doing that kind of a service of towing the bullock cart and doing an up and down kind of a service from the village to the market. So I will give him the activity of please take my potatoes and sell it in the market and get me back my return. So that comes under the tertiary sector. The activities in the tertiary sector result in the ultimate production of goods and services. So these activities ultimately add value to the national income and are called economic activities. Why are they called economic activities? Because whatever activity is being performed are adding to the national income. That is, whatever the income that is earned by every individual in this nation. Right? So every activity that, suppose I am doing a certain activity that is producing some, that I am getting paid for. Ultimately, that is my personal income, which ultimately gets added to the national income. So since it is income generating, it is called as an economic activity. In economic activity, there are two parts. First being the market activity, and the second being non-market activity. So market activity, let us see what market activity exactly is. So it is being paid for someone. Suppose someone is being paid for the kind of labor work that they do. So that is exactly called as market activity. It involves remuneration to anyone who performs an activity. Hence, they are performed either for a pay, that is cash or in kind, or profit. So these include production of goods and services or government service. So let us see what exactly non-market activity is. So these activities are those that are produced just for small self-consumption. So let me give you an example. I am a small farmer today with very less amount of land, that is around 1 hectare. Right? I can produce the kind of the land that I have can produce crops that are only available for the uh, consumption of my immediate family members that I have. In my family, there are 5 people, and only the kind of produce that I get from the farm, only the 5 people can eat, and there is no kind of surplus that is left so that I can go to the market and sell it. So only that kind of production that has happened where I am feeding my entire family with it is called self-consumption. We are just consuming it ourselves, and we are not selling it out for profit. Right? So that is called non-market activity, because ultimately it's not leading to any kind of income generation. Even though it's an economic activity, it's not giving out any kind of income to anyone. So that is what a non-market activity is. So these can be consumption and processing of primary product and own account production of fixed assets. So let us see the kind of division of labor that we have in the men and the women in the family. So there is a kind of division because due to history and cultural factors. Women are always seen as childbearing women, and hence the man has to go out of the house when the woman is pregnant so that he can make a living and come and sustain the woman and the child. So this procedure has been there since time immemorial, since a very long time, and it is also embedded culturally. So like I've said, so women, when the men go out to work in the fields or factories, women take care of the domestic housework like washing vessels, cleaning the house, and etc. And you should also be noticed that if you are a person in your family doing this kind of a service, you are generally not paid. And also this kind of work that you do which is not paid is not a part of the national income. Have you ever wondered if this household work, that is the different kind of domestic chores that are performed by different women in every household, is accounted to? If they are getting paid for it, what kind of national income our country will even have you ever wondered that? So only and only when the women enter the suppose enter the market, or they set up a small shop for themselves and start doing a kind of market activity, is when they are paid. Until then they are not paid, and they will be paid the same amount as what is being paid to the men. So the importance of education is, it will help. Higher education means you are getting higher opportunities to find out your true potential and capability, and in turn you will get to know the kind of right economic opportunity and how to make use of them. hence for whatever kind of income that you have, that will be ultimately dependent on the kind of education and skill you have. So these two, education and skill, are two major determinants of what an earning an individual gets in the market. Usually women, they don't, in the historical times, they would not go out to work, and hence they did not have any kind of education and skills. Usually the men used to have that. And also women don't go out in the job market and get a formal job is because some companies don't really give you something like maternity leave. So what exactly is maternity leave? Is when you're caring for a child, when that woman is pregnant, she will physically not be able to work efficiently, and hence some companies will not give that kind of a leave where she has to take care of herself and her baby. So that is not possible, and just because companies don't give that, the women prefer it not to work at all. Some women actually in the recent past have, or in the current times, have started to become research scientists, or they've entered administrative domains, and they're doing great work to the to the society. And that is a very very good impact that has happened on our society and the economy as a whole. And also we need to empower women. So what exactly is women empowerment? Empowerment is the capacity for the women to make decisions on her own. So the in the historical times, every woman used to make decisions based on what the elders in the family would say, or what her husband would say, or what her father would tell her to do. But now there is a new concept that has arisen, that is called as women empowerment, where we have women have the capacity to decide what they want to do for themselves, what they want to do for their well-being, and how to take care of their family and stand on their own leg by being a very independent person. So this exactly is what is happening in contemporary times right now.